This week on the show, Hutch and I go through Caulfield. Absolutely wild weather there. We ended up on a heavy 8, so we just got to be really careful of this meeting going forward. We're probably, for the rest of the summer, we're going to be on dry track, so it could be the outlier. Be careful with all races, the whole 10 of them. We go through some horses that we want to be with over the next couple of weeks. They're obviously coming out of some pretty hot maidens. And we also deep dive into what we actually expect might happen in 2025. So some big races in the spring, races that we think we can bin and look for different form lines, and horses that we want to be with. Let's open up Pandora's box. Hello and welcome to Pandora's Fox. My name's Julian Valence, joined as always by Hutchison Clint from racing.com. G'day Hutch, how was the week? Now, it was wild weather and we're going to get to the track very shortly, but there was a bit happening on Saturday.
Thank you, Valence Jules. That's very good. Yeah. And I got the memo. We're all in the Johnny Cash today.
Yeah, well, we thought if it's a 30-degree day, what better colour to wear than black?
That's what we do, isn't it?
Soul.
Signifies the end of the spring, I suppose.
That's correct. It is the last episode, punters, so be aware of that.
Heavy track in summer, or pretty much summer. What's going on there? But anyway.
Yep. We got through the week. Yeah, we got through it, and here's the track intel. Okay, so the track analysis here. Now, this whole episode, to be honest, for the punters out there, is going to be really tricky because, as we've stated, there's just not too much to go forward in the fact that we don't think there's going to be deluge of rain over summer. So usually we got fast, dry tracks. We had an absolutely deteriorating track on Caulfield. True position the entire circuit. Soft 6 from the beginning of play. Downgraded to a soft 7 after race 3. Downgraded to a heavy 8 after race 5. There's no doubt it raced as a heavy for most of the day. I would say from the intel, and again, either take this, don't take it, because it might not be any advantages at all, but I thought lanes 1, 2, 3 were an advantage in run. You could see a lot of the winners coming through that. I know some might have also sort of bucked the trend there, but again, this meeting is just so tricky that I can't say, well, if you were wide, we're going to forgive you, because you're on a heavy 8 anyway, and next start you're probably going to be on a good 4. So we just got to be careful. Yeah,
I think inside section in running and late on was pretty good. Yes. I know a few of them were angling off later in the day, but how much relevance will it hold going forward? Probably very little, I'd imagine. No, we're not going to get. You wouldn't think we'd get a heavy track in the imminent future again. Yeah. But that said, I think the form stacked up pretty well. I mean, most of the winners were reasonably well defined, but I don't know how much value it will contain going forward.
Yeah, it's a good point. The value going forward, and that's what we're sort of here for, is I think minimal, and that's what we've got to be really careful about. That was the track analysis for Caulfield this week. Hen House, Hutch. So the two races that I've identified, and they've got to be careful here because there was only 2 shoot races. So it's possible that the shoot actually raced a little bit quicker than the circle, because these 2 races for me did come up much better than circle races. So again, as we're sort of saying from the beginning, just be wary of this meeting going forward. But I thought the 2-year-old race won by Palm Angel, just inside standard time, last 400, 200, pretty good, 11.85. Now I know it was early in the day as well, so the track wasn't at its worst. But I think there was some guts to these horses, especially the first starters, even probably first, second, third. I think we can probably follow with a bit of confidence with the asterisks of what we're going to do.
You're braver than me.
Yeah, correct.
I'm not following it. I'm not taking too much notice. I'm not. It was early in the day.
That's a good point.
They ran better. They ran okay. They handled the conditions all right. The winner looked reasonably professional. Yeah. Might go on and be pretty good. But there were so many forgives in the race as well. The horses had just never went a yard. Yeah. And they were all pretty well supported, so I'm not sure.
From all the 2-year-old races, and I know this was on a soft track at the time, this is the 2-year-old race in Victoria that I think has stacked up the best for me thus far.
Okay.
Thus far. And we haven't had too many, so let's see what happens with that. But second and third horse in particular might go okay. The other race we're going to get to here again was out of the chute, was Casablanca in race 5, Hutch. Bang on equal to standard time. Last 400, 200, the best of the day by far. Again, probably still the track wasn't at its worst, but I love the big gap to third. Casablanca is only second run prep. I think it's a horse for the future for me.
Yeah, I'm with you with Casablanca. I mean, he had that luckless run, of course, at Flemington. Don't know, how do you find trouble in a field like that? Well,
they were spread everywhere. Probably wrong part of the track as well, wasn't he? He sort of came up on the inside, way to the stars, wins that race out wide, and that was probably the best part of the track. Nash decided to find it, was in race 1.
But he's always shown something, this horse. He's always shown something, and then, the gelding, he's sort of back. I like you said. I mean, he only beat it our time. It was good gap back, and the time was good. So look, there wasn't a lot at the whole meeting that I'd be following. And that's the thing, But he's one that I'd say, he could act on any ground.
Yep, that was the Hen House for this week, punters. Doghouse. So what are we going into an area of hounds reside in? Look, I've gone race 6. It was won by Snitzenova. 2 seconds outside standard time. Now, again, asterisks. We're going to keep asterisking everything we say here, Hutch, that maybe they can be forgiving of this, but I've just got this race going absolutely junk. 12:38 last 200. Pretty ordinary. Look, well done. They've won a Group 2 with the connections here, and maybe they'll be better on a dry track, but just overall, it's won 3 in a row, this horse. Been up to Sydney, come back. Just worries me going forward. If they were to be seen again in 2 weeks' time.
It's amazing this Sandown Guineas. I haven't gone right back through it forensically, but often it's just a race that it's sort of like a benchmark race, isn't it? It really is. And the winners of it are often sold overseas, to Hong Kong, with
limited
success, let's say. Well sold on a lot of occasions. But I think this might be another year like that. Yeah. I mean, as you said, what did she win? She won a Super Maiden. Stitzenova, she's got a good record from a handful of starts.
Yes, she's got some There's no doubt she's probably some upside. But you win a Group 2 race, what happens? Your handicap does balloon, and obviously you're right up there again. And then you're taking on you got to take on top brass.
And they've got their job now, because from a breeding point of view or value point of view, Philly, she's a Group 2 winner. They've won their lotto already. So even if she didn't go on with it, so be it. But from a punting point of view, I'm with you. Like, it wasn't anything special.
Yeah, and worried about the other horses around it as well. So maybe that's one we can try and find different form on if we see those horses running in the next couple of weeks. Punters, that was the Doghouse. Okay, hits and misses, Hutch. So just from a points bet market point of view now, again, asterisks. All these runners, I think we've got to be really, really careful to be able to just jump on their back and go, they were back last start, so they're going to be happening again because of these deteriorating conditions. I think a lot of these horses were backed because of that. Race 1, Nearing Liberty, 650 into 360. I'm going to go through these really quickly. Race 2, Rose Angela, first starter, so we don't really know what to make of that. On a wet track, who knows? Race 3, Quantum Cat's been up forever, $7 into 460.
Quantum Cat.
Probably, they wanted to back
got the money again.
Yeah, outrageous. Charterhouse was 10 into $4.60. They missed there. Runs unplaced. Barclay Square ran okay, 11 into $5.50. And Arkansas Kid, which has been up forever. I remember we put it into the Fox's Den sort of some time ago when it won first up or second up. It's done a pretty good job to continue to be able to go to this level, because I just didn't know where it was. But there's no doubt that it was probably backed from the fact that it was a wet track and was probably going to find a pretty good spot. Didn't have much luck last start. On the quick 7-day back up again, $6.50 into $4.80. Went through them really quickly because overall, I don't think we learned much out of this.
No, they're not horses that were backed. Well, the reason why they were backed was conditions and probably map where they were going to end up. And they're not really horses that you want to be following. But he's a pretty consistent horse, Arkansas.
Yeah, no doubt. That was hits and misses, punters. All right, in the Fox's Den, so Black Bookers here, Hutch. Now, we're sort of removing ourselves away, other than Gaza Blanca probably, which we've spoken about. We're trying to go back to these dry tracks that we've seen, maybe some maidens. We're going to see plenty of races like in the midweek grade. Caulfield Heath have plenty of races now, 64.70s. Mooney Valley as well.
On that note, Caulfield Heath, are you a fan of the track? Is it playing fair?
We are, again, small sample size, but I think we're going to see what Caulfield Heath is going to give us through its population, and that's going to be on speed runners.
Up and in. It seems that way I'm with you. I noticed that the other day, a couple of horses sort of turning and looked like they were going to win easily, and they didn't really catch the ones up there near the lead, but it looks that way. Yeah,
and there's no doubt that there's going to be plenty of meetings there. They're going to be dry track. So, I mean, that's sort of the MO anyway. Dry tracks, fast tracks, you've got to be on speed. 2 I've identified here coming out of... First one's an Ararat maiden. It was called It's a Yes Hutch. It got beaten First up by a nice horse that went to then Moonee Valley and had no luck with Blake Shin on it. I can't remember its name. But it's a horse we can follow. It's a yes. It might go to that midweek sort of Caulfield Heath or Moonee Valley probably within the next week, I reckon, punters. I think we might get a price about it. Could be something to bet there. And Chiller Cap won a Geelong Fillies maiden as well, Hutch. I think it's a horse that we can follow with a bit of confidence. Didn't have much luck when it was first up, but it's got a motor and it showed it at the Geelong race. So they're the two for me in the Fox's Den this week. Okay, Hutch, thinking outside the Fox. This is where they're going to get some guts about this show now. So we've sort of flicked through because we couldn't really learn too much about Caulfield. What we're going to try and identify for the punters is what we've seen in 2024 since we've been doing this show, probably trying to review and then find some winners. But what we expect maybe could be a key thing to look for in 2025. We've got the autumn, obviously, in Sydney, and then you can look through the different carnivals, whether it be in Adelaide, Brisbane, or back in Melbourne for the spring. I'm just going to kick off with sort of the features that everyone's sort of going to go through. And I just want to get your opinion on, do you think this is a race we can follow going forward, or is it a race we bin and we look for different form lines? Because that's where the key is here. Markets are going to go up probably really soon for these Sydney races, even races like the Australian Guineas, the Newmarket, Oakley Plate. All those races are going to go up soon for a futures point of view. What we see with those markets is, if you win a Caulfield Guineas, you probably go up favourite for an Australian Guineas. You win all these kinds of races, you'll go up top of the markets. But if we can identify here that some of those races didn't go any good, then we can start looking off Broadway and maybe able to find a bet in those kinds of races. So Caulfield,
it's a sort of a futures perspective.
Absolutely,
as well.
yeah. So we want to review, but also looking forward to, hey, these kinds of races, when you're looking at a Newmarket or an Oakley Plate, hey, this race didn't go much good. Look for something else. Look for something out wide. We'll start off just from a calendar point of view. The Turnbull Stakes, we identified this as a race that we definitely wanted to be with. It finds the Cox Plate winner. It finds the Caulfield Cup winner. It finds the Melbourne Cup winner. It finds plenty of winners throughout.
It was the race
day.
of the spring.
It was.
And you did highlight that at the time, Jules.
Do we continue to push for it in the autumn for the races up in Sydney?
Yes.
Is that those horses win? Well, Via Sistine is probably going to be the one there, isn't she?
It is, and she's going to dominate. And they're going to have most of the features at their mercy. It'll be interesting whether or not where she's at first up, do they over a shorter distance? Are they with her strongly? But no, I think the Turnbull form, like you said, it stacks up very well.
Caulfield Guineas form. Do we want to be with that for the 3-year-olds in the autumn?
No, definitely. I think this is a race that we've got to look around.
Yeah.
Now, we did have a big pattern on the day, as we know.
Yes.
And it is, I went right back through the spring, and we had a lot of tracks with a lot of patterns.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Spring.
Yep.
And of course, Private Life dropped back to a sprint race following the Caulfield Guineas. Ran actually pretty well.
It was okay. Yeah, it's better than what I thought. Yeah.
It was okay. But Feroci went down to Group 3 in the Carbine, was beaten. Broadside, and we're going to touch on a little later.
Yep.
But I think as a collective and how they perform there, real concerns around the Caulfield Guineas. I wouldn't be trusting that race too much going towards the Australian Guineas or the features in Sydney.
All right, so that's a good point, punters, okay? Because as we said, markets go up for these Australian Guineas and these other 3-year-old races up in Sydney. That'll be their guide. They'll go, oh, well, where was the Caulfield Guineas place getters? Let's bang them in straight away. So let's look around that race. Next one, sort of on Derby Day. So let's start with the VRC Derby. Would you want to be with anything out of the VRC Derby? Because usually, as a guide, it's where good horses' form goes to die.
I think that's a really well... I love that phrase. I usually say that about Ballarat.
Well, Ballarat this week too, by the way, so hold on to that.
Hey, go Ballarat. We love Ballarat. Yeah, can't find a winner there.
Derby?
Definitely not the Derby. Yeah. I mean, it was a nice win.
Yes, it was.
To the winner and well found.
Yeah, we got lucky, yeah.
But I think, at the time you sort of highlighted, look, there's not much depth here, and you were picking the fast race from Adelaide, which proved to be, was it the Hill Smith or something?
Yeah, 1800,
the 1800 race. Yep. That's not to say that the winner might not improve next season, but it's nowhere near, I think, the sort of wraps at the time were on for mine.
Same day, the Coolmore Stud Stakes over 1,200 metres. What do you want to do with, say, let's start with Switzerland. What's your thoughts with him?
Very impressive.
Yes.
Ran time. Cannot deny what a performance it was. Off that lovely speed that was perfect for him.
I watched that again. It was
bizarro world. Look, there's a couple in there that are key. Bellatrix Star was unlucky. Probably ended a prep run after that. She had excuses, so I'd be sticking with her.
Yep.
Growing Empire is an interesting one.
Yes.
Blinkers. I'd love to see the blinkers come off.
Okay.
You've got an opinion on him.
Yeah.
I'd be sticking with him next preparation. I think he's a real talent, and I'd like to see him. He got everything. He ran in everything, didn't he? Bar the Sydney to Hobart.
Well, that's coming up, so he's still a chance.
He's still
He's still in work.
And there was one other one in that race that ran okay. But look, the Coolmore form will stack up. Good bunch of 3Ls, good sprinters.
Yeah. Switzerland for me, that was only his third run from the prep, which I love. So he was lightly raced through the spring. And so I think he's just going to absolutely springboard into the autumn. The Growing Empire one's a fascinating horse for me. I loved him throughout the spring, especially that Muddycarter, which he should have won. And then I felt they just chased their tail to get the Group 1. And he went here, there, everywhere, as you said, except for the yacht race. Is that going to gut him? Or is it going to make him into this really big, strong bull of a horse? I'm jury out with him.
Are you?
Jury out, just because he had a long prep and it all happened for him. He had to go to Sydney back. Now, it could be the making of him, absolutely. But if I was to say, I stamp him right now, he's going to be a star in the autumn, I just can't yet. I can for Switzerland, just can't yet for Growing Empire.
Yeah,
I want to see him come back.
I'm going to have a little side bet with you on a dinner or something.
Oh, yeah, something. Let's
Maybe
just call it
tickets to
something.
a Belinda Carlisle concert. I don't know.
She'll be back too.
We'll
Don't
do
worry
something.
about that. She'll be back. The Oaks. What do you want to make of the Oaks? Because usually, again, the Oaks can not be the answer, but the Quinella this year in the Oaks might have some guts to it.
I agree with this. And normally the Derby, VRC Oaks, it's early for them. We know that it can have an attrition rate later on.
Yes.
But these two, and I name Treasure of the Moment and Powers of Opal.
Yep.
I think they're both pretty good.
Okay.
And I would be following them into the autumn.
Yep.
In whichever, their paths are pretty much set out, but they're versatile, particularly Treasure of the Moment from a mile up.
Yeah.
I could see Treasure of the Moment, 16, 2000, 25, no issue. I think there's a bit of substance there.
Yep.
Those two are okay.
Yep.
And I would much prefer the Oaks form to the Derby form. So it's a yes from me.
That's a very good shout there. And I think Treasure of the Moment, I think in time we might just see her as a miler. I think I know they went to 2,500, but that's what you do when you're a 3-year-old.
Or
and you're
2,000.
Right,
I think 2,000 was okay.
2,000, yeah. Whereas Powers of Opal might be the 2,000 plus horse.
Yes.
Out of the two.
100%.
Whereas, Treasure of the Moment might have that turn of foot. The 1,000 guineas. What would you want to do with the 1,000 guineas going forward?
It's the same as the Caulfield Guineas, I think.
Yeah. There might be an outlier there. The second horse, Aliana. Maybe.
Well,
on a big track. On a big track.
She might be the one from the spring where you go, I'm going to be following her wherever she goes. She didn't handle Caulfield. She is an exceptional talent. We saw what she was capable of when she went to the Carbine Club.
Yes.
She's the best out of that race by a margin.
Yeah.
So, I agree with that. As a race, no, but, with
big
the
track
exception.
horse, Aliana, Australian Guineas. That's the one I want to be with when the prices go up for her. When PointsBet put that price up, I think that's the one I sort of want to stomp. Overall, other horses that were through the carnival that maybe you think, yes, we know the Caulfield, we know all these horses that won the big races. We know Via Sistina. Is there any others just a little bit off the side that you think, I think they'll improve again in the autumn and they might have a good race in them?
I've got three.
Yep.
The first one has form, was Pondalawi firstly, and it has that form around the talented sprinter from Graham Begg's yard. Neance.
Yep.
And Pondalawi then went down to the straight, was set a monumental task and complete forgive. But Pondalawi is a horse that I think will, given that rating now, they can sort of pick off races on their way through.
Yep.
And she's a talent. She's not far off, I think.
Yep.
That winner. So there's one definitely I think worth following.
Yep.
Outside of that, Vestas.
Oh yeah,
was a big run. And I think
we haven't seen it again, have we?
No.
Which is probably not a bad thing. Light spring.
Put her away.
Yeah.
They'll aim up with her. She could be anything, I think. Because I thought that race overall rated pretty well.
She just had no luck behind Amelita up the straight.
It was sort of dropped the catch at a key stage there. But Glenn McDonald, he's got some. He's got a big stable. He's got some nice horses.
Got some rippers.
She's one of them. And just a little bit further, I know we're talking about futures. We're talking about horses worth following. I don't mind that. The sprint race, the stakes, the champion sprint stakes, or at VRC sprint.
Yep.
Because we saw obviously Overpass go over to WA and win.
Yes.
But Right to Party, now straight course horse. But maybe if you're having a longer term, there'll be a race down the straight.
Well, the Newmarket.
Because
she's not going to get too much weight.
Yeah.
She's a mare. She might be on 52, 53 kilos. That's not a bad shout.
Do the Newmarket into the race at Ascot maybe, because they said that they might
Okay, so they want to go over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just get a real big result there.
Yeah, hello.
There you go.
All right, very good. That's good there. I reckon you're on the right track with all those. Pandora is a really good one, I think, because you're going to get a price about it because it's the one that could really skyrocket. There's two others. Neance we mentioned as well. Isthmus is the other mare that goes into that 3 bracket of Pandora, Neance, and her, Isthmus. Another one, She's Bulletproof, which run behind Neance. She's another one that's sort of a little bit Pandora. She's going to be a low rating, could improve. Obviously, Nadal. I thought Mahaba was outstanding in Perth on Saturday.
Yeah.
He's another one that might be down in the weights. And here's the decision for a few of these. Do they aim up and go Oakley Plate Newmarket? And I especially want to talk about the 3 mares here, Isthmus, Neance, and Pandora, and even probably She's Bulletproof to a lesser extent, but she's got a lower level than that. Do they aim up at the Oakley Plate Newmarket and have a crack at that? Or do they bide their time and wait for the mares Group 1 race in Adelaide, the Sangster Stakes? Because I think one of those could win the Sangster Stakes, but you've got to win it off the right prep. You can't be going Oakley Plate, Newmarket, freshen, then try and do it all. So that's going to be the key for me, is knowing which one might be saving themselves for that Adelaide.
Well, at an
tournament.
early stage, you'd have to say that Oakley Plate's looking
It's hot.
red hot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nice horses going towards it that are going to be very well weighted.
Yes.
Of the horses that you mentioned, I reckon Isthmus is the one that I'd aim towards the Sangster.
Yep. Okay.
I think that'd suit her there. But
yeah. Here's one for you, Hutch. We're talking about, we've said this, you've said that in particular actually, about the sprinters, there's not much between top to say 40.
yeah,
I think 2025 is the year for the emerging sprinter to win an Oakley Plate on, say, those low weights, but then become these weight for age stars that end up now winning the TJ and winning the Everest. I think it's their moment in 2025.
yeah, it is, and we've mentioned Switzerland already on the show. That's the heir apparent.
Yeah.
You know, that 3-year-old that's coming through. I mean, I don't think Bella Nipotina necessarily improved this year as
she's
7 or
outstanding.
8-year-old.
She's very good, but she's just held her
Absolute
level.
ripper. Good on them, and they've. But you know, the mantle is up for grabs.
Yes.
So that next generation coming through. There's obviously a very good sprinter in Hong Kong, but that's Hong Kong aside.
Yeah.
In Australia, you know, that 3-year-old crop, they're going to come through now, and there's probably some of those 4-year-old mares.
Yes.
Or even geldings that are on that way.
Well,
up.
Nadal, a horse like Nadal could just go, okay, he's going to get maybe 52.5 or 53 in a Newmarket, comes out and goes bang, and then all of a sudden, like, oh no, he's our new weight for age guy.
Does Nadal win a Group 1 in the autumn?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But it's saying that, I love these mares as well. Like, these mares are going to be really, really good.
It's a changing of the guard for sure in the autumn. I think we'll see that.
Yep. Okay, so that's for 2025. This is for probably in the next couple of months because, as we've stated, this is our last show. Summer, dry tracks, fast tracks, Hutch. They usually run the straightest they possibly do in terms of the form holds up the most. That's the important part. Horse population's at its lowest. So when I say the horse population's at its lowest is not many horses are actually in work over the summer months as well. What does that mean? Diluted fields. Why diluted fields? Well, we've also got Christmas parties. So every track wants to make some cash. So there are multiple meetings over these next sort of December, then into January, into New Year. It's a haven to make money over summer. And I say that and I won't make any this year. But
well, you've had a good spring.
Have a good spring, need to continue. But this is the key here is don't, when the spring finishes, pack up and say, I'll have a break now.
Yeah, I know.
This is the time to be betting.
Yeah, this is the best time, I think, and it's more so just because of the tracks, like you said.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what different jurisdictions we get for the majority of the year, and you just know what you need.
Yeah.
Form holds up consistently.
Yep.
You know what to expect. So could be a good Christmas for you, Jules.
Could be. Could also be full of coal. Talking about filling our sacks for Hong Kong for Christmas. Hong Kong is this week. You're on a flight tomorrow. Mm-hmm. 3 horses. I actually thought 2, and then you told me off air that there was 3. Without a Fight in the Vase, Antino in the mile, and Recommendation in the sprint. Of those 3, Without a Fight and probably Antino, the 2 I'm going to focus on for you just here. Can they win?
I priced these up yesterday.
Good.
And I've got, without a fight, a clear favourite.
Okay.
I won't declare sort of what price I've got, but I can tell you that I'd be taking what's on
that's
offer.
a little lean.
Yeah, recommendation's going to struggle against Cayenne Rising, who should be winning. And Antino, look, I think the Hong Kong horses are overpriced at this point in time. Voyage Bubble, namely, and Galaxy Patch. Those are the two I'd be centering around. And I think the Japanese horse, Soul Rush's favourite, has got a chance, but the Hong Kong horses will be hard to beat there.
Okay, very good. Well, that's the show for 2024, punters. Now, Hutchie will be back with me next week. Not next week. Next year.
Week. No,
2000. I don't know where. Well, so this is the thing.
You don't want to get hold of me next
This is the thing. Hutchie asterisks. We spoke about asterisks all throughout the show. 2025, February 10, which is the 2 days, the Monday after the Ore Stakes, Caulfield, Group 1 racing. Feb 10, Hutch will be back, but this is on the asterisk that is $1.95 each of 2 to survive Hong Kong. I've taken not survive, and that's through love, nothing else. But
I am going to survive. I will come back stronger. And I'll tell you what we're going to do in the summer. We are having
a tan off.
No, I can't compete with you in that, okay? That's why I wear long pants. But I'll tell you what we are going to do.
Okay.
We're going to have a game of pickleball.
Yeah, I know. You've been on this. You've been bang on this. Oh, we will.
And, stand by.
Okay.
I want to get a price, but I think I'm going to get the cash.
Oh, very good. Thanks for watching. That was fun. We'll see you next year. See you, punters. Thanks for watching, punties. That was the last of Pandora's Fox for 2024. We'll be back February 11, which is after, obviously, All Stakes Day, Group 1 at Caulfield. So Hutchie and I will be reviewing that. That's when we'll be back. Have a good summer. Have fun in the sun. We'll see you then.
Imagine what you could be buying instead.
For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.